hear this advice a lot. Cut back on your salt because salt causes high blood pressure. And that is absolute nonsense. Salt in your diet does not increase your blood pressure. Ever since I started this low carb, keto, and carnivore journey, I increased the amount of salt that I had in my diet. If I was to make an estimate, probably about triple the amount of salt that I used to eat. People need to realize is actually salt, or sodium and chloride, are essential electrolytes that your body requires. And you also have tight mechanisms, these wonderful organs called the kidneys, that filter and maintain the amount of fluids and electrolytes to a status that your body requires. So if you have too much sodium in your blood, your body tries to get rid of it through the kidneys. And if you lack a little bit of those electrolytes, well, your body holds on to the water. However, back on track with the blood pressure. Yes, increased sodium levels within your blood will elevate your blood pressure. However, as I've just mentioned, we have mechanisms in play here that, ensure that we have the right electrolyte levels within our blood as managed by our kidneys. But if we throw another player in the mix, another hormone, a hormone called insulin, changes things a little bit, because insulin, as you might know, is a storage hormone. It actually takes these electrolytes and shuttles them to where they need to be. And so if you've got increased insulin levels, it could potentially lead to higher sodium levels as well. Here's the kicker. How do you get high insulin levels? That's right. It's when you consume carbohydrates. So eat more carbohydrates, you'll have higher insulin levels, more retention of sodium, which causes high blood pressure. There you go. And mind you, that's not the only factor that plays into the blood pressure. There are other things that come into play, like inflammation, endothelial damage of the artery walls. But you have these doctors that say, lower your salt intake because that's what increases your blood pressure. Again, utter nonsense. Take out the salt from your diet and you've got issues, mate. As I said, electrolytes, they're quite important. But you take out carbohydrates and wow, you've just flushed out a bunch of electrolytes. You lose fluid, therefore lowering pressure within your vasculature or your blood vessels, leading to a normalization with your blood pressure. So it's not eating salt that causes you to have high blood pressure. It's actually eating carbohydrates. There it is, myth dispelled. Guys, as I was editing the video, I realized that I missed out to put in this piece of information. And that is, prior to me doing the carnivore diet or even the low carb diet, I was hypertensive. I had high blood pressure. It was around the 160s systolic. I was on blood pressure medications and I was asked by the doctors to go on a low salt diet. So I minimized my salt intake. And even then, I was never into salty foods. I was always a sugar addict. I loved sweet things. I hated salty foods. But ever since going on the carnivore diet, yeah, I've increased my salt intake and my blood pressure has actually dropped down to a normal range, 120 systolic.